2017 when I first started on a low carb diet. I hit around 110 kilos at the end of 2016, early 2017. I had a lot of injuries from going to personal trainers and, you know, the usual thing of being a woman and trying to lose weight. I tried everything that I could, you know, I was doing small meals more often. I tried all the superfoods and grains and Weight Watchers, you name it, not eating, personal trainers, and ended up at a sports doctor with a horrendous foot from jumping up and down at 110 kilos. Not a nice thing, very painful. He suggested for me to try a low carb diet because I had been trying so hard to lose weight and I had studied nutrition, not in a professional sense, but so I gave it a go after years of not being able to lose any weight. And within the first week, I lost 3.5 kilos, and that was going back to eating things like bacon and mayonnaise and avocado and eggs and high fat foods. And yeah, it really changed my life. In 5 months, I lost 30 kilos. And from the beginning of me starting the low carb diet, I went straight into creating a website and writing cookbooks. I had been blogging for quite a few years, and I knew that I really wanted to help other people actually enjoy better food. Even if it's only one meal a day, it doesn't mean it has to be crap. So today we're actually going to have a bit of fun in the kitchen. I'm going to show one of the main things that I find a lot of people really miss when they go low carb or keto, and that is bread, right? So I do a lot of breads. Today we're going to do a fathead version of a Barbari bread. So it's sort of like a Turkish bread with some really nice seeds and things like that on the top of it, but very, very easy and made with ingredients that you'll have at home. One you may not, but you can always find something else to substitute. My cooking style, as you can see, I've got some of my cookbooks here. I've actually got 4 in hard copy at the moment, with the most recent being The Healthy Family. And I've written over 30 cookbooks, but the main thing that I do in my cookbooks is I try and, 1, put in ingredients that you can buy in the supermarket. 2, make them really easy, step-by-step instructions with both conventional and Thermomix instructions as well. So if you have a thermal cooker, which I have here today, you can use that as well. So yeah, that's just the way I go. So today we're going to make the Barbari bread, and I was planning all these things, but I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to do that in an hour. So you're getting the Barbari bread. We're going to do an Arabic pickle, which is from my cookbook Keto Eats, a green chutney to go with it, and a kebab sort of garlic sauce, like so your yogurt sauce when you go to the kebab stores. So this is kind of like a deconstructed style kebab that you could actually serve with. In my Keto Eats book, I actually do have chicken shawarmas that has a shawarma spice that shows you how to make that. And then you just sprinkle it over your chicken thigh fillets and pop it into the oven or on a grill or in a pan, and you can make some nice shawarma chicken. But it could be great with, like, you know, even fresh prawns, any deli meats or something like that. But this is just showing that these are things that you could actually do with leftovers in the fridge and real foods. So anyway, let's get started because I've got to get a yeast starter on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get some warm water out of my tap, which is absolutely freezing in my house at the moment. And to top it all off, our air conditioner just died, so I can't even warm it up. So yeah, I'm going to just put 1 tablespoon of warm water into a glass when it comes up to warmth. That's like it, it's going to take a while. But you want to use warm water to activate yeast, otherwise it won't activate, or it'll be very slow to activate anyway. Oh my goodness. So, and then what we're going to do is going to put 2 teaspoons of yeast in the water, along with 1 teaspoon of inulin. Now hang on a second, let me just turn that down a little bit. Okay, so I oddly enough, only want 1 tablespoon of warm water. And normally, I'm just going to grab a towel. Normally I would have a bucket in my sink, but I was trying to be clean. So we do recycle a lot of our water. So in this little jar here, I just have 1 teaspoon of inulin. Now inulin is a prebiotic. I use it in things like making my own yogurts and stuff like that. It's very good for gut health, but it actually does activate yeast. So I don't need to use sugar or honey or have them in the house because I don't use them for anything else. However, if you don't have the inulin and you want to just use sugar or honey, you can just use 1 teaspoon in this, and the yeast will actually consume the carbs from those, okay? So it's 2 teaspoons of just the everyday instant yeast that you buy from the supermarket and the 1 teaspoon of the inulin. So I'm just going to stir that into my 1 tablespoon of water. Then I'm just going to wrap it in a bit of cling film and a towel, and I'm going to pop that into a warm place. Well, hopefully I'll use this silicone mat because that tends to keep things nice and warm and help to activate quickly. I'm just going to pop that over there, and please don't fall over, please. Okay, so that's going to be just put to the side now to activate for a while. So while that is activating, I will just go through the ingredients that are in this bread, and then we might actually get the pickle done so that it's pickling while that is rising. So in a bowl, today now, you can do this over a double boiler, so you could pop this over a saucepan of water without the water touching it to melt it, but I'm going to use a microwave. For those with a Thermomix, you can do this in the Thermomix as well. So we've got 250 grams of mozzarella and 65 grams of cream cheese in our bowl. When that comes out, we're going to add in a tablespoon of baking powder. Now, even though I've got the yeast in this, I'm going to put the baking powder in there because this is not a floured bread, really. So it needs all the help it can get to get a bit of rise and puff to it, because I just don't want it to be too flat. With the baking powder, I'm going to add the eggs at the same time, which you'll see this great reaction that actually turns that cheese into something else. Then I've got a little teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is one of those specialty ingredients that is used in a lot of low carb or ketogenic baking. It helps create gluten-light structures, or it can help bind. In this way, it's actually going to be more of that gluten conductor. And while you can leave it out, I do not recommend it in most of the breads because you just don't quite get the texture. Try it with it and then see how you go. I used, this is just 200 grams of blanched almond meal. You can make your own almond meal like in a Thermomix. You just throw in your almonds whole or blanched and mix them for 10 seconds, speed 10. I buy blanched almond meal because I'm photographing my food all the time and I want it to be pretty. So it doesn't really matter if you have a blanched one or you have the whole almonds in almond meal. Either way, it's still going to turn out a beautiful bread. For my seasonings for this bread, now, this is what I'm saying, like there's one ingredient in here, it's called Nigella seeds or black seeds or brown seeds. You'll find them in Indian markets or Asian grocers. They are beautiful. They are related to the cumin or cumin family. And they have a real flavor of their own. I know this says online that you can swap them out with cumin seeds or something else like that. Don't. They're just not the same. Even black sesame seeds are not the same, okay? So if you've ever had like Turkish bread from a Turkish takeaway and they've got those little black seeds on it, that's what they are. They give, it's like almost like an anise kind of flavor to it, but it's different than anise as well. So in here I've got the Nigella seeds, sesame seeds, and I've got some, oh gosh, what's that called? I'm having a blank. Oh God. Now let me have a look at this. I've totally forgotten it. I use it all the time, but... Aleppo pepper flakes. So you can use a little bit of sumac or a smoked paprika or something like that. But I just like the look of the Aleppo peppers. I use it a lot as a garnish and that for my food photography and that as well. But it also just makes it taste really yummy as well. It's a Middle Eastern lemony kind of spice. So that's what I'm going to put in for our bread. But while that yeast is still going, we might actually just quickly do our pickle because it just needs 10 minutes to pickle. So I've got all these lovely boards because my partner makes all these lovely boards. I'm just going to grab a little bowl, I think. You can mix that one up in here. Okay, so all I've got is 100 grams of cucumber. You can de-seed the cucumber if you wish. I just don't like to waste food. So yeah, I love my food, and in this particular one, the seeds isn't going to cause any problems. If it was going to go in something like tzatziki or something, I'd take the seeds out because they just make it a bit too watery. But anyway, I'm just quickly dicing. You don't need to have any chefy skills or anything like that to cut your cucumber however you want. If you want them in slices, cut them in slices. It's up to you. So we've got a little bit of Lebanese cucumber in there. Then I'm going to cut a small tomato. I always try and use all of the tomato. So you just cut out that little horrible bit. Years ago, I worked in restaurants and all we'd ever do is use up every little bit of every bit of food that you could. And you know, then there's less wastage, and it's amazing. Like if you cut enough tomatoes and then you use all the tops and tails of them for things like tabulis and stuff, it goes a long way. Okay, so I'm just dicing up a small tomato. So we can have a lot of real foods in a low carb diet. I mean, I think everyone just thinks it's, you know, bacon and eggs. And while sometimes you might just do that because you really can't be bothered, I just like to use, you know, what's laying around the garden, and there's a lot of things that are from my garden that are going to be in these recipes today. And, you know, what I might have for other dishes or anything like that, like I said, leftovers and things. And I will show you some easy substitutes in that as well today. But yeah, you can make some great foods that just taste so good too. Okay, so to my tomato and onion, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of fresh parsley from my garden. We've got some salt flakes here. I use Australian. And then some cracked pepper. So as you can see, very simple ingredients. Some sumac. Sumac is found in the spice section in Coles and Woolworths. It's usually in their own brand ones, I think though. This is just some apple cider vinegar. I've got a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So there I'm adding my fat to my bit of salad here. And then from my garden again, I've just got a lemon, and I'm just going to squeeze a bit of that lemon in there. If you think my lemons look really funny shaped, it's really funny. I've got like this beautiful lemon tree. I don't know what variety it is. It makes the most gorgeous lemons. And they're really juicy, but one part of the plant actually went really close to an orange tree. And they're shaped like an orange, but they don't taste like an orange. So now I'm just going to mix that. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of onion, but remembering that, you know, vegetables that are below the ground are a little bit higher in carb, but a little bit of onion or lime juice instead would be lovely in there. A little bit of Spanish or red onion, as you would call it. Okay, so I'm just going to cover that. I'm going to pop that in my fridge, and I'll just pull it out when it's ready to go. This sort of thing is obviously also good for Mexican or a nice salad. Nice and simple. Okay, there's nothing there. Okay. So I'll just walk down my bench. I'm guessing my yeast is probably going to have done its thing. So let's get our cheese into the microwave. So I'm popping this into the microwave on high. My microwave is 750 watt. So yours may need less or more time, but I can put mine in for 2 minutes, I know, and not burn it. So it's going in 2 minutes now. And it's going to melt very lovely like. Now, one thing that I did not get out is a baking tray. Try as I may to be organised. So excuse me while I take out and I'm going to line that with some baking paper. So unlike so, like I said, I've done a lot of keto breads. Unlike when you are making a normal bread, if you ever made bread pre-going low carb or keto or just about to, you do the knockdown after it's proved. Anyway, after it's proved, you knock down the dough and give it a second rise. You can, but I just find a lot of the breads really don't come back as good as they would with just that one rise. So what I always do is I always shape whatever bread I'm making, whether it's a loaf or a flatbread, into what I want it to be, and I only do the one rise. So I'm going to shape the Barbari bread today into a long oblong. I'm going to put it onto my baking tray. I'm going to cover it with the silicone mat and a towel, and I'm going to pop it in a warm place. There is no warm place in my house, so it's probably going to take a while, but with the magic of video, I'll cut and come back when it's risen. And then when it's nice and risen or proved, I'm going to pop it into the oven and we're going to cook it for between 10 and 20 minutes. But I always just check again. Same with the oven. Well, actually, I'm going to cook it less because I'm going to cook it at 250 degrees. So it's probably going to cook in less than 10 minutes. So you can cook this low and you can cook it high. But what I'm trying to do with this one is I want to stick it on top of a pizza stone. So it gets a really nice crispy bottom. So, so this is going to be like a chewy style bread. And what the yeast is going to do to it is it's going to give it a real sourdough kind of flavour. So my cheese has melted. And I'm just going to start giving that a stir. And it's funny because it is that cold that it's not quite as melted as it normally is, but it will start melting in now. Okay, I think I've got a spatula over here that I really want to shift to, because that's good enough. Okay, so get my trusty spatula here. Now what I'm going to add into here is my 2 eggs. Still while it's hot, don't worry, I won't cook the egg. So egg 1, egg 2, and then I'm going to add in my baking powder. Now, this is where I said to you, you're going to actually see something really magic. You can see this is like cheese. So when I add these 2 ingredients at this time, and this right now is a basic fathead dough. And a lot of people, like me, don't like fathead dough. It's really soft and it's greasy and it gives you soft pizza bases in my opinion. But if you make it this way, trust me, you see what's happening to this cheese now? It's turning into a foam. It's actually like giving a whole new structure to that cheese. And you can see it is quite literally foaming up to the top of the bowl. And it's not the same as what it was. So now what I do is I'm going to find my yeast. Now this yeast, because there's only 1 tablespoon of liquid in there, you'll find, it mightn't even come out, see? It actually just turns into a brown fluff. I'm just going to grab that spoon back that I just threw here. So it literally eats the water as well. So it's not going to make your dough wet, but it's going to help it flavour it and give it a little bit of puff in the oven, which is exactly what we're going for. Okay, that's done. So I'm adding my yeast, I'm adding my 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and I'm going to add my 200 grams of almond meal. Now, this is where the work comes in. You've got to fold it in at first, and you'll hear it start crackling. I don't think you're going to hear that through this video, but it's like throwing salt onto bubble bath. You know how when you, if you're trying to do 2 things in a bath, you have a bubble bath, and then you want your Epsom salts in there or your magnesium flakes, and you throw it on and all your bubbles start crackling. This is just exactly what this sounds like, and it takes that foam out of it straight away and starts to make it into a dough. Now what you really need to do here is really mix it. A little bit of elbow grease, so it's good for any tuck shop arms. Give it a bit of work and really work it in until it's no longer sticky, because if I touch this right now, it'd stick to me. So the longer I just spent, and it's not a long time, you'll see, no magic of cutting the video or anything like that while we're doing this. Just want to show you that it is easy to do this. If you have a Thermomix, you just stick it on a dough setting for 1 minute and it will do it all for you. But today we're doing it manually. Now, once I'm kind of happy with how that is looking, I can turn it out onto a silicone mat. Now, if you don't have a silicone mat, I advise definitely getting one. They're like the best thing. But you can work straight onto your bench top. Please don't flour it with anything, particularly like coconut flour, as it's highly absorbing and it will dry out your dough. So what I'm going to do now is get my hair out of my face. And as you can see, it's not sticking to my hands. So it's a beautiful soft dough. And I'm just going to give it a quick one-handed roll with the palm of my hand. See how I'm just like turning it like an Italian nonna. Oh, trust me. Before I ever went keto, I ate a lot of bread. So this is where part of my love for making keto bread started. I immediately went into making different kinds, and some of them are not as good as others. But if anything, I've made a huge variety. We've actually even now got our own new bread mix range out. So I'm super excited. We teamed up with Keto Eats Australia and now have our own bread mix that people can make at home. So like I said, so bread is very close to my heart. My previous website was loaded with it. You know, things like bagels, Lionhouse rolls, Toll House rolls, pretzels, pretzel bombs. Oh yes, so many different things. But now I make more keto, and I haven't even been tempted to go back to any breads. So if I can actually give up those kind of carbs in breads, then you can too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply push this dough out into the shape that I want. Now, it might break up a little bit. It's so easy just to push it back together. You just shape it however you want. Now I'm just thinking I probably don't even need to use this silicone. Oh no, I want to cover it with it. So I'll flip it over. Okay. So a Barbari bread normally has like some ripples in it. So I'm just like going to just shape a few in there. It doesn't need to be anything particular. Now this dough can be used for a pizza base. It could be used for scrolls. It could be used for bagels. So basically what I'm giving you is a very simple dough that you can use in multiple ways. That's probably pointless what I just did because I'm going to flip it over to put it on my baking tray. Oh, let's not have a fail again. All right. Just put it there for a second. Oopsie. See? If you've ever watched any of my lives, you know I'm like the realest cook on earth. I don't try and hide anything. I want everybody to know that everything's not perfect in the kitchen, especially when you're attempting to create new low-carb recipes. But anyway, we're going to just, like I said, make some little ripples in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle over with my Aleppo peppers. See, I remember the name now. Nigella seeds and sesame seeds. You could do this with poppy seeds. You could do it with Italian seasonings. You could just do it with salt and pepper, the garlic and onion flakes, that sort of thing. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper too. Well, I'll just add some salt because I haven't got my pepper out. But it's got the Aleppo pepper on it anyway. Chili flakes would be lovely as well. Grated lemon rind would be another one. But the thing is make it your own. Okay, so I'm just going to cover that up. I'm going to double cover that up. And I'm going to pop that into a warm place. So I'm just going to disappear off camera to help this rise. And that will take about an hour to get a little bit puffy. Okay, so now we're going to make our, we'll make our green chutney. So this is a bit of a cheats green chutney, not a chutney that's full of sugar. In fact, it doesn't even have any sweetness. So all I have, and again, this is where you can really add your own flavors if you wish. I have an avocado. Thankfully, it's not a horrible one. It didn't feel so great when I was opening it up, and I only bought it yesterday. Don't hate when you... Avocados are great for low carb and keto. Amazing amounts of good fat, healthy fat and fiber. But I hate it when you get one and it's a bad one. But they were rock hard yesterday, good today, but they felt a little bit funny. So they might be a bit pimply on the outer edge, I don't know. I picked some beautiful fresh mint from my garden. If you can grow some like nice little herbs yourself, I always have my parsley, my sorrel leaves, bloody sorrel, mint, oregano, little things that I use a lot. Chives, garlic chives are amazing to grow at home. Coriander. So I've got some coriander leaves. If you anti-coriander, use some parsley. I know there's like, you know, a lot of green faces for people with coriander. Another one of my beautiful lemons. See like how it's weird shape? This has a jalapeno. Now, I might normally do this with a fresh jalapeno, but my garden, we've just picked some, but I put them in the freezer because I want to make a green sauce with them. So I've just got some pickled jalapenos. You can leave these out if you're not a chili lover, and you know, add pickles or a little bit of tomato, a little bit of red onion, you know, whatever you wish to add in. You know, one thing that's really nice with this too is like nuts. A hazelnut would be really lovely in there. I've got some sea salt, I've got a garlic clove, and I've got some more of the sumac. So you can see probably I like some spices together. And yeah, like I said, this goes really lovely with the chicken shawarma, which has also got a cauliflower shawarma, one in the Keto Eats cookbook, with the spices and that sumac and sort of real flavor just continues right through into the chicken and the cauliflower as well. So anyway, I'm going to quickly whiz this one up in the Thermomix. Now, you could do this by hand, you could do it with your Ninja bullets, you could do it with any food processor, but you know, quite easily, I just like to throw something in the Thermomix and have it done in no time at all. And you know, this will literally only take a few seconds in here. So I'm adding a whole avocado to my bowl. Maybe I should just move the bowl over to here because I don't really need to measure anything in the Thermomix today. So as you can see, like these sort of things are very easy to make with just things that you got laying around the house. Like I said, you know, if you looked in the fridge and you go, oh, I've got like some leftover spinach or artichokes or, you know, anything, olives, olive tapenade, mustard, chuck it in something like this. I'm gonna add in my salt. I'm gonna add in all the things that I don't have to chop first. My sumac, my jalapenos, a bit of squeeze of lemon juice. You could add a bit of lemon rind in this too, that'd be really lovely, but I just can't be bothered right now. So I'm just going to pick up a few of these fresh mint leaves. Some I'll use for garnish later, and I'll use this coriander, and I'll use this garlic. So I'm just going to just quickly finely slice my garlic. The Thermomix can actually, like, or your food processor can probably do all that work for you anyway, but just so that I'm not scraping down too much to get it through, I am just going to give that a quick chop before adding it into the rest of the ingredients. So again, a recipe like this one is like fantastic. Again, Mexican kind of food. You could have it with Indian. You could have it on top of a steak, or just even with like a piece of chicken, seafood. Just beautiful. You know, a great way, like I said, there's just some good fats in there, some nice herbs, some nice seasonings to make it all seem nice and fresh. And like I said, it's like, you can see like what I'm slowly putting together here is going to be a really nice meal that can be served with, you know, for any time of day. And it's something that you can keep in the fridge and have when you are ready to eat, which is what most of us do. You know, traditional meal times are gone by now, aren't they? So I'm just doing that for 20 seconds, people. We'll just listen. Might have been 5 seconds, speed 5. So quick pulsing action or turbo action on your food processor. Yeah, this is probably just the way I would like this. Oh, I think I've buried my spatula. Yeah. Just give that a quick wash. Okay, so I've left this like a little bit chunky. I'll show you in a minute. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So there's just a little few chunks in there, so it's not like really smooth and like a sauce as such. I'll put that one in this one. One thing I always like to do, if you've ever seen it in my food photography, is I really like really nice plates and bowls and things like that. I think, you know, if the food looks really well presented and that as well too, you do tend to enjoy it just that little bit more. And it can feel fancy, you know, you don't need to go out for dinner. You can eat better than you ever can at a restaurant, at home. So Let's pop all that in there. Now, seeing this is going to go with our Barbary bread, I even just thought, you know, that'd be lovely like with a little sprinkle of the same spices or seeds that I've got on the bread. So I've got that kicking around over there. I'll just add a little bit of these coriander leaves on here. Maybe. Oops. And a little sprinkle of that. So these would go great with keto crackers and that as well too. Damn, why didn't I make crackers? That would have been easy. But yeah, so that's a lovely little chutney. Yeah, could be called a guacamole, but I'm calling it a chutney, a green chutney. Okay, so next to go with our bread is Kebab garlic sauce. A lot of people love that sort of sauce. And it's still something that, you know, if you're going to eat out, have to have something from a food hall, for instance, takeaway kebabs minus the bread, that's still pretty good. This one I might just do by hand. It's pretty easy to make. Where do we put this one in? Put that one in this little bowl here. So all that is in the garlic sauce is lemon, salt, pepper, dill, yogurt. Okay, did I say garlic as well? You can, instead of just doing Greek yogurt, because Greek yogurt is 6.5 grams of carbs per 125, right? I make my own yogurts at home, which I said, like with the inulin, and I just mix sour cream and cream, and it makes a quick and easy Greek yogurt, and they could be 2 ingredients that you always have in your house if you are not dairy free. So I'm just going to use this one up today because I had it. I don't even know why I bought it, but I did. And I am simply going to just chuck this into the bowl. Like I said, if you didn't have enough of this, like it had a little bit out of it, I don't really need to worry too much about the others. I'm only feeding 2 of us here. You could just use the sour cream and cream and make your own yogurt anyway. You can do it instant, add a little bit of acid or add some inulin if you wish, and you can even beat it up a little bit to make it thicker if you want. Just going to do a squeeze of lemon. Lemon does have carbs, but it's still good. I'm adding my salt and my pepper. Now, why I have this garlic out is, I know not everybody's a big cook at home, and when you are low carb and you only eat to satiety or only eat when you're hungry, you tend not to go through as much food. So this is like the Gourmet Garden. Gourmet Garden ranges from Coles and Woolies are a staple in my fridge. They are long life and they're like fresh. So this does not taste like the stuff that comes out of a jar that you might have in your cupboard. It's like fresh blended garlic. So I have the garlic, the ginger, and the lemongrass. The lemongrass is extremely good because rather than buy one stick of lemongrass. But yeah, you can just use this and keep it in your fridge and then not have garlic growing in your cupboard, which is what I had a lot of. Although you can just take your garlic cloves out of their skins, pop them into a Ziploc bag, pop them into your freezer, and always shave them with a microplane, and that as well. It's another little way to save your garlic or ginger and have it on hand in, you know, even if it's just in the fridge door in a Ziploc bag for when you need it. Because it's those little things that add so much flavour to your meals. So now I'm just chopping up some fresh dill. You could use a little bit of fresh fennel or parsley, anything that you want in this. Chives. So I know some people aren't into dill. I'm into anything. I like all different kinds of foods, and if I don't like them, I just keep trying till I do. So I'm just going to give that a quick whizzo. And that is done. Didn't even leave enough for a garnish. Anyway, so that can now go onto my platter that I've got over here. Okay, so as you can see, like these have been pretty simple recipes, and I've still got to put my bread into the oven, which I will pop into the oven very shortly and then show you what it all looks like together, and I'll clean up the kitchen in the meantime. But before I go, I guess maybe I could tell you a little bit more about when I lost that 30 kilos. So a lot of people always ask me, did I do a lot of exercise, how I did it so fast, and to be honest, there was no secret to it. I think it was just the fact that I was 45 or 46 at the time, I'm 48 now, that it was just such a change of the diet. Like I had lived on such a high carbohydrate diet all of my life because we were told, you know, eat grains, eat cereals and that sort of thing, whole foods fruit. That, yeah, it was as soon as I changed to a higher fat diet and lower carb, the weight just came off quite quickly. So like I said, it was 30 kilos in 5 months. I put a little bit back on ISO. I won't lie, there's been a bit of carb creep. I've been writing books and tasting a lot of different foods, so it's a bit tough. But I'm back into, I've been now walking 5 kilometers for a couple of weeks, and then before that, 3 weeks, I think before that we were walking 3 kilometers. So I'm extending my exercise and stuff. But when I started, no, there was no exercise. As I'd already said, I actually had an injury, and I could barely walk. I had like just your plantar fasciitis, but I had a heel spur as well, and they were just so bad together that I felt like I had a club foot, and I was literally like crying and doing, and that's not me, in pain. That's how bad it was. So no, I wasn't doing any exercise. It was just that shift in the diet, and it was within, after coming out of that first week, that I realized that, oh my goodness, like what carbs really do. I had a longest list of health issues, and not only was the foot, which I later looked and said, oh, that's all, because I found I was insulin resistant. So when I talked to this doctor, he said, go and get tested. He said, I think it might be insulin resistance, and that's why you couldn't lose weight. So I'd lost 10 kilos before I even went and saw my doctor, my GP. And she said straight away, oh my God, what have you done? Because she'd been my doctor for 20 plus years. And then we did the test, and I don't know how it all works, but I think it's like over 14, whatever it is that's measured in your blood, is high insulin resistance. I was like 54. So I was like way up there, and that was already after I'd already shifted to a low carb diet. So, and that was like within the first few weeks that I'd lost that amount of weight, you should know. So no exercise. It was just change of diet, listening to my body, and actually just eating when I was hungry. When I started, I tried to eat like bacon, eggs, avocado, and mayo before I'd even leave for work, because I was still working for somebody else then. And then I'd find that I was queasy, or, you know, I just wasn't hungry. So why would I eat? So I pretty much went into that one meal a day, sometimes not even eating in a day. Not because I was starving myself, but because I wasn't hungry. So there is a difference when you're eating that fat, that you can really go longer without needing food or wanting food. And I think it's also, there is a mindset to it too, because like now being such a high volume recipe developer and that as well, and having to try foods, I found even when I don't have to do that, I'm in my head saying, what can I eat? What can I eat? I think you've got to really learn to listen to your body and only eat when you're really hungry. So yes, that is my advice anyway, is like one of the biggest things is just listen to your body. And that's how I lost the weight, and I didn't have any stalls really along the way. It was only like trying to get to those milestones of like 20 kilos or 30 kilos or whatever, and it's like, come on. But of course, as you lose the weight and get closer to a normal weight, it will level out, of course. So, but yeah, I just found like the whole different thing for all of my health. So I did not sleep well before. I snored. I think I pretty much had sleep apnea, because I like waking up, and you know, my partner even like recorded me one night. I never used to snore, but I got so heavy, I think everything like started to clog up and I couldn't breathe properly throughout the night. I had carpal tunnel, so I had like wooden hands, if anyone's had carpal tunnel. All of that's gone. I had dermatitis, psoriasis. I thought I was saying cirrhosis then, I didn't have that. Cirrhosis, but I did have a fatty liver, and that was reversed after my first test and stuff like that as well too, which I'd had for quite a few years. But yeah, it was just like all those shifts of all those different things that I'd had for so long, clicking knees. Like, we've got a 2-story home. Every time I went upstairs, you could hear my knees click no matter where you were in the house. Now you can't. A sad story that I have said before, and you know, considering I'm amongst women in this low carb long weekend, I couldn't even stand up and put my underwear on because I was so overweight. Like, I'd lose my balance. So, you know, now I stretch even before I go for a walk, even though I got the worst hamstring at the moment. But yeah, it's amazing like how just changing your diet can get rid of those health issues or problems that you've had, whether they're niggly problems or serious problems for many years. And then there's what they always talk about is the brain fog lifting and the focus. Now, for me, I used to have a lot of problem in even talking all the time because I forget what I was talking about, which is not hard for me because I do talk very fast and I talk about a lot of things in a very short space of time. You know, it makes such a difference, you know, like when you can't even like carry on a conversation because you forget what you were saying like 5 minutes beforehand. Well, I've found since then, like, my concentration levels are enormous. To consider that, I started my business in the July of 2017, Made Creations. I released my first 2 cookbooks, which was Real Food, Real Fast and Flavor, in the August of 2017. Since then, I've actually done over 30 ebooks that are available on my website, plus another 20 plus meal plans that are available to my 365 members. So we have a separate group and a separate site for a keto club. But I've done all of that in that time frame to be able to write thousands of recipes as well as do my website. And I honestly could not say that if I was still on a high carbohydrate diet. It's just the whole thing in my brain just totally switched on, and I feel so much more alert and so much happier, so much more happier. So that's where even with my friends and that actually have health issues and stuff like that, I do recommend them to try the keto diet. I'm not someone that beats a drum to everybody, but I'm certainly somebody that will actually say like, hey, look, this is what's happened to me. And I only hope that I can inspire people to try it and learn to listen to their body and that as well too. This is not about being skinny. This is not about being gorgeous or anything like that. We're all, you know, going to have like, you know, a healthy body image, but it's about being healthy inside and out. And the benefits for myself personally since changing to the low carb diet are immense. So, you know, for me, I won't change. This is the way I'm supposed to be now. You know, while I could eat a high carb diet when I was younger because I was thin, and not put on weight, you know, my body has changed over the years. You know, one of the things I didn't even say is I'm one of those people who had endometriosis at 17 and went through menopause at 30. So even for me to lose weight, you know, it wasn't easy for me either. You might think, oh, you know, if you're in your 50s or 60s and just starting to go through menopause now, that somebody at my age would have it easier than you. Well, no, I've already been through menopause 15 years prior. So while I'm still relatively young, I had stopped all of that thing. So I think that's where the weight just kept coming on and on and on, because my body had changed from, you know, being insulin sensitive, I guess, where I was able to process those carbohydrates. Then after my menopause, changed to insulin sensitive and, you know, can't process those carbs. So anyway, I am going to go and check that bread, and then we're going to put it in the oven and see how we go. So as you can see, it's just had a little rise. It won't rise a lot, not when it's like flat like this, but it will puff up in the oven. So it's going in now. I'm going to trial this because this is the first time I've made it this way for 5 minutes and just see how we go. Okay, so as you can see, the bread has come out of the oven now, and I've chopped it up, placed it on a platter with our Arabic pickle, our Kebab sauce, and our green chutney. So it's as simple as that. Like, you throw a little garnish on it, you throw some cherry tomatoes or some deli meats, or like I said, the shawarma chicken, something like that with this would be great for entertaining. But it's such an easy meal that you could have for the whole family and everyone will love it. So it's just as simple as grabbing your piece of bread and topping it up with your favorite bits. A little bit of the garlic sauce, a bit of this green chutney, and a little bit of our Arabic pickle. And we've got perfection. So thanks for joining me today. I do hope you loved the recipes that I cooked today. They were out of our books, Keto Eats and The Healthy Family, which you can get in our store. But otherwise, I have the recipe here and you've watched me cook it today. So the bread ended up taking around about 12 minutes and I reduced the oven temperature just because it was just getting a little bit too heated at first. But I'll get those details out and you'll be able to make it all yourself. Okay, thanks again. So good.